Thank you for joining us today for Sunday Conversations. Today, we begin a series titled Failure to Communicate, where we get some inside scoop of how different couples handle situations. Sit back, enjoy, and delight yourselves with these conversations.
Not do like we have to do certain things. We can't waive like a traditional mortgage. So I saw this house. I woke Alex up and I was like, I want to go to this house. And we were driving up and down 95. And we were just talking about that the other day. I was like, I can't believe how often we were leaving work. I was leaving work early and just come down and grabbing all the kids in the car, picking them up from school early just to go down and try to find a house. But then we found this house. We were the first ones to see this house. And then they liked us. I asked our realtor, I was like, did we have the best offer? She was like, oh, absolutely not. You did not. But we had the first offer that came in and we had a clean contract and they liked us. I think they saw us on their Ring camera. And ever since then, everything else fell into place. We didn't have to go over it, appraise that value. We didn't have to come out of pocket anything. We didn't waive any inspections. Everything was just right dressed. And we got the house for the price that worked for us, that we were comfortable with our payments. And so being able to do that and listening to everybody else's stories who are like, oh, I went $30,000, $40,000 over value, and then going into the house like top heavy, or even with tidal waves happening with them and their realtor and all this crazy stuff. I'm just happy that like everything worked out.
Clean.
Yeah.
Okay. That comes when you have the favor of our God.
Absolutely.
That's exactly what happens. So, spiritual moments.
Being officially connected. You know, I struggled with being ahead of a house, with Alex being ahead of the household for a while because we're both really type A. And so coming from like a leadership role and then having to be submissive in a house, it took a while. And some of his decisions, like he said, it just wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And so just being able to, we got married when we were 20 and 21. So watching him grow as a man and then grow as a spiritual leader into a minister had made me comfortable enough to be like, I can step back and I can follow without questioning, because everything he would do, I would question. If he said go left, I'll go right. And then I was like, my parents were always like, don't ever hide behind a man. You make your own decisions. Like, you do what you need to do as a woman, but you don't rely on nobody. And that's how I lived. But now I can take a step back and feel comfortable in the decisions that he makes, because I know spiritually that we are like for real connected. Like, he will say something, I'm like, I was just thinking that. Or like, hey, I want to go do this. And I was like, oh my gosh. Or he'll say the same thing. I'm like, I was just thinking that. So feeling comfortable that we are spiritually connected and knowing that the role and the path that he is on is going to lead our family in the right direction.
Yeah, that was my biggest thing, because we were so disconnected for so long, trying to not necessarily saying that we didn't love each other and didn't want to be together, but it was just like on that spiritual side. When things would go wrong, we would go into our own mode, trying to figure out how to make it work. And it would be so much of the bumping of heads, because I think my way works, well, you think your way works. And I think, it took you being in that position where you were just completely shut down with the Zayden, for me to realize how important my role is as a husband, as a father, but also being able to just listen. Because
before that, when we got
going
here,
into it,
like everything changed when we got here and we got back together. Once he came back from his deployment and we got back together, that's when things started clicking.
Well, yeah, it was slowly progressing, but I think when we got to a Zayden, that's when it clicked for me that I gotta do this right, and I can't do this by myself. I can't do this like I'm the one or be against Elysse on this. We got to figure out how to do this together. And
we're big about compromising.
Oh yeah,
we're compromising heartbeat. So what is our middle? Like, yes, you want to do this and I want to do this. So what does the middle look like? And what the middle is what we're going to stand on. And if the middle doesn't work, then we're deciding if we need to go left or go right. But we're going to meet in that middle first.
Awesome. So have you found the submissive balance?
I think so. Yeah.
Because and so when you say that, it's automatically, and it's funny because the routine is, she doesn't cook. She can cook, but she doesn't cook. I cook, and I like cooking. I like it, but for a long time, that was such a big thing because of the submissive. You think that the woman is supposed to do all the cleaning and cooking and all this stuff. And I'm looking at it from a flesh and materialistic mindset instead of the spiritual understanding that, as the head of the household, my connection with Christ, my connection vertical has to be on point. And when I started to understand that my connection vertical meant that I had to first submit first and know what that submission looks like, then it allowed me to then lead from a servant type of mentality of how do I make sure my wife is taken care of? How do I make sure my kids are taken care of? And have that reflect going the same direction. Because before I would think, if I do all this stuff, you guys gotta, do what I say. But it didn't, it never worked that way. And so submitting to Christ first, it put me in a better understanding of how to lead and to understand how just because she may be considered the weaker vessel doesn't mean she's weak. Just because she's my wife, I'm the head, but she's the neck. So I can't turn without her. I can't do anything without her because she keeps everything in place for me. So just understanding how that flows really made a huge difference. It has made a huge difference for us.
Final topic. Overcoming the most darkest moment. Whichever one that you choose.
Individually or together?
You can answer it either way that you want it. Well, give me individual, because I know that they're different.
Individual. So it's a twofold. So my darkest moment would have to be my pregnancies. As a lot of people know close, that I have really bad pregnancies where I end up having seizures and they have to bring me back, and my pregnancies are bad. This last one I ended up on a walker. I couldn't, even after having a Zayden, I still couldn't walk, and the only thing that saved me was our Peloton. But I had to mourn the fact that I would not have a daughter. And as much as I would love to pop out 5,000 more kids because he wanted actually a big family, I just can't do it. And so my darkest moment was when we had our test for a Zayden, and I just sat in the corner and I was just sobbing. And it was at the point where he asked me if we wanted to keep the baby. And I was like, of course I want to keep the baby. But in my mind, I had my heart set on something. And I was so in a dark space. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I don't think I left the room for days. And I was just crying all nonstop. And at that point, I had to mourn something that I never had or will never have, but also come to grips that I'm going to love this child regardless. And he came up looking just like me. But,
he sure did.
But it was just the fact that I had my heart set on something. I prayed about it. I've been trying to manifest it, and just seeing me, I feel like that was probably my weakest moment. That I just started questioning everything God said. You said this, you would give me my heart's desire. You said, call it in, speak it in life. All these things I did. Tithing, we were there. I was just on point. I did everything I needed to do. But yet here I am with my fourth boy that I never pictured me being a boy mom. And I'm just and this is it. Because I physically cannot do it again. My doctor told me to stop after having one, and I had 4. So at this point, I was I know I cannot do this to my body again. I cannot do this to the family again, because at that point, I'm not even a functioning adult when I'm pregnant. So it's everything always falls on him. But our kids are at a point where I can't do that anymore. There's bills I gotta pay. There's a household that has to be run. I can't just tap out for 9+ months to carry a child in here just to get something that I felt I needed.
Gotcha.
But
Alex, before you say yours, let me ask this question, because we know that you are a minister. We know that you're saved. We know that you live a life of God. I know that probably some Christians probably watching this would probably cringe to hear you ask your wife if she wanted to keep the baby. Why did you ask the question? I want the people to hear why you asked that question.
Because at that time, I have never seen her react like that ever. And so sitting with her for almost 30, 40 minutes, it was just silent. And one of the things that I've, going through, training through, those type of trainings of communicating and those type of trauma events, type of things like that, you got to just be direct and ask the question. And so I said, hey, do you want to keep the baby? I just need to know where your head's at. I need to know where you're at, because if I'm going to pray, if I'm going to move, if I'm asking God for anything, I need to know where you are first before I start to align with whatever. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I want the baby. Of course, I don't want her to not want the baby, but I just need to know where you're at. And in that moment, it's not about me trying to be self-righteous or trying to condemn her. I just need to get a response of where's your head at, so that I know where we can start from, so we can start to pray, so that we can start to move and help you get the help you need to deal with this, because it's not what you want. And I think it's, a lot of times we can get in this position where if you are in a leadership position as far as ministry, or you're a Christian, we still got to deal with life. We still got to deal with our emotions, and sometimes those things come out, and if you haven't properly dealt with it or understand how to deal with it, this is, that's the moment where it happens. And so you gotta be real and genuine about where you are, and then allow God to help you get past that.
That's right. That's right. So question, and then this is my last question about that, then I'm gonna let you give yours. Was it based off what her body goes through physically and for a health conscience wise? Was it also more did that question more focus on that as was the question more focused on her health as well?
Oh yeah, it was all health related, because mental health, physical health, because of what and these are things that we never told anybody. So these are the things that we kept to ourselves. But this Ezekiel, when she was pregnant with Ezekiel, she almost flatlined. And so it was one of those things that, hey, we have this situation, but if you are in a position where you physically can't even walk and your ligaments are tearing as you're trying to carry this baby, your health is declining. Her health declines every time. And so we were like, all right, this, for you to even be in this position, and I know it's unfortunate, because there are plenty of mothers out there or plenty of women who can't have kids. And so for us to be in a position to have multiple kids, it's we understand that it's tough to even have this conversation, but it's just one of those things that we were like, for the sake of your health, I don't know. And then even in the emergency room, it was only by the grace of God that, Zayden was even delivered, because there were so many complications even in that setting that may have caused him to not even be here.
Yeah, the nurse, her whole shift was me. She couldn't leave my room. So she spent the whole entire shift in there, and anesthesiologist, because I flatlined twice, trying to get him, and then he came out blue, like he wasn't breathing. And so there was a team of doctors, everybody was just quiet. So they're still trying to work on me, they're working on him. My mom missed the first one and saw the second time that I had my seizure. He saw both. And even coming out of it, the anesthesiologist was like, I didn't believe you. What you're saying is not a thing. And then after I delivered, 3 anesthesiologists came the following day to question me about what happened, to try to make it seem like, oh, you were just anxious and that's why you had your seizure. I'm like, no. So they finally got his Zayden together, and he finally cried. And then they were able to talk to me and try to figure out what's going on. And Alex was over there quiet too, trying to figure out what's going on. But there's a lot of processes that happen, and I still couldn't even walk. After I had him, they were trying to have me walk out the hospital, and I couldn't. And so I still needed my walker weeks after giving birth. And so trying to carry a baby after having one, and still trying to figure out how I still can't get out the bed. And it's COVID, so there's no physical therapy appointments for months out. And I'm supposed to go back to work in 6 or 12 weeks. Yeah. So it was just a lot.
It was a lot.
Look at God.
Yes.
Yeah, and
now I can walk. I mean, I'm a little slow at it, but I can definitely get up and walk. Yeah. But like I said, the help, we got the Peloton, and that helped rehab me, and a lot of prayer and things that we did at home to kind of help get my legs to technically work again, because they just couldn't.
But what it did was it reinforced our faith.
Yes.
Like, we had to have faith in it, because at that point there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
All you can do is just trust God in this moment, and we had to. And from that point on, the things that we did after that, it just said, you know what, if God brought us through this situation, he can bring us through every single other. And so from a Zayden to different things that were happening in between, to us getting the house, all of that was just reinforced by the faith that we had witnessed, and just us being able just to stand on that and allow that just to take hold.
Just like Pastor says, faith without work is dead.
Yeah.
So having to have faith in what you said, I'm going to be able to do this, so this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to make sure we stay heavy in the word and do what we need to do to be able to say, like, you've done it, you've seen it, we're going to do it. So that's what we did.
Okay, Alec, you want to share one of your darkest moments?
Well, I say it more so is in compare. It also lines up to the fourth pregnancy for Elysse, because during that time I was experiencing a level of pressure that I hadn't felt at all, and so it brought me almost to the brink of depression, to the brink of suicide. And the issue with that was because I had set up what I was going to do, how I was going to do it, and then my plans completely changed. And what led to the ideations of saying, you know what, I'm done, was the shame. I was ashamed because, okay, I'm a minister. I'm supposed to be preaching. I'm supposed to have everything together. I can't even be dealing with this. And the fact that I'm still dealing with something like this means that I'm not worthy. And then you got the enemy talking here. See, I told you you wasn't worthy. I told you you didn't have what you thought you had. And so I'm playing that over and over and allowing that to be, the soundtrack to every single day that I wake up. And, that was a dark time because I was allowing that to be in my life, not realizing the authority that I had, even in the place that, even in my darkest time. And so it took, it was nothing but God. It was nothing but God in that moment to pull me from that. I didn't tell nobody. I didn't talk to nobody about it. It was completely, 100% between me and God. And I had to walk myself out of that situation, only led by, the light of God.
Awesome. Well, look, I want to take the time to thank the Williams family for coming to Sunday Conversations to Failure to Communicate, a new series that just launched, and they're the first couple to come on and to be interviewed in this setting. So I want to thank you guys, and I just want to share with you guys because I get to sit amongst you and just enjoy seeing the young love. Even what you do with your boys, to hear your boys recite scriptures, to hear them give feedback in teachings, it's really amazing. And what it does is just it shows where God is leading you. It shows where each of you are giving tutelage to your children, and where the word says that train a child up in the way that he should go, that when he old, that he would not depart from it. And I'm very thankful that I just get to sit and I just bathe in your happiness. Even through all the hardships, even through all the dark places, the one thing that remains consistent, and that is God. And never forget that God is your source. So I want to thank you for attending Sunday Conversations. What's up? It's your boy, Mr. Ike. I'm back. Hey, thank you for watching Sunday Conversations. We had the Williams family, and this is such an awesome conversation. I hope that you learned something about them, and as well as learning something about them, I hope that you heard their heart, and I hope that the most important part, you saw how that they leaned on God and they trusted God through every situation. Hey, come back next week. We're gonna have a new couple up in here. I'm not going to say who it is. You got to come back and find out. Thank you for watching Sunday Conversations. I'll see you there. Thank you for watching Sunday Conversations. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. We look forward to seeing you next week as we continue to bring you relevant content. Remember, God has a purpose and a plan for your life. Live life intentional.